And I'll just give you a minute or two to settle and become still, to find your comfortable position in your Shavasana. That may be lying on your side even, may not be lying on your back, maybe having your knees bent, can be whatever feels good for you. And after a few moments, you may feel your eyes becoming a little bit heavy and softening. You can just allow them to close. And then gently take your awareness to your breath. And just noticing the breath, how it's moving. That lovely rhythm of your breath as the belly rises and as the belly falls. And just observe that for a moment. What can sometimes help us when our mind is not able to focus where we want it to focus is to repeat something mentally to ourselves. So if we had a moment where we couldn't focus on the breath, there were just too many distractions in our mind, then a helpful thing to do is to mentally repeat what's happening. So you could say, breathing in and breathing out. I'm watching the belly rising as I breathe in. I'm watching the belly fall as I breathe out. So take a few rounds of the breath if it helps you repeat also to yourself mentally what you are observing. And without trying to change anything, just seeing it for what it is. Now let's start to notice the four separate parts of the breath, which all link in together. So begin to notice the inhalation and then the pause right before the exhalation. And then the pause again right before the inhalation. So following these four parts of the breath. Some teachers refer to this technique as box breathing. And what you can actually do is visualize in your mind that you're drawing the sides of a box or drawing the sides of a square. And as you do that, each part of the breath corresponds to one side of the box. Let's continue for a few more rounds of the breath. And let's let go of that technique. And take in a few full and deep breaths, cleansing through the whole body as you breathe out. So taking a deep breath in with the focus on the crown of the head. And as you breathe out, allow that awareness to travel down your whole body, down to the soles of your feet, and let that breath cleanse you of any negative energy or stagnant energy. Anything which is blocked, allow it to move freely and flow out as you exhale. Just take a few breaths like this. And slowly return to your center, where, if you wish, you may like to set an intention, creating a simple and positive statement and repeating it to yourself mentally a few times. When you're ready, you can release your sankalpa and return to your breath. Let's take a few deeper breaths. And whenever you feel the calling to start to move your body, maybe just stretching out the toes to begin with, maybe moving your fingers or turning your head gently from side to side. Perhaps taking a deeper breath and stretching the whole body. Or maybe you feel like yawning or letting out some kind of noise as you stretch and release, feel free to do that. And then slowly bringing your knees up to your chest. So let's just hug the knees in and rock a little bit from side to side. And just notice how the lower back is feeling as we rock from left to right. Notice how the mid back feels, the upper back, the shoulders and the neck. Perhaps there's some tightness somewhere in your body that you can feel. If there is, just notice it. Now let's take both knees in a circle, just gently drawing them into the chest and then sending them away. And just observing here also any tightness, any stiffness, and just breathing softly into any of those. Now changing direction. When you're ready, so now that we start to move a bit in our practice, we've also got our awareness on the breath. It's a little challenge to look at both of these things happening, to look at the movement of the body, but also to stay with the breath. Sometimes it's easier, we can just switch to looking at one of the things, so we can just watch the breath, or we can just look at the movement and forget about the breath. But sometimes we'll find we can join them both together. Then come back to the center, and then with one hand on each knee, we'll make two separate circles. So just feeling into the hips now as we push the knees away from each other and then draw them back in. And then moving in the opposite direction for a couple of rounds. And bring the knees back towards each other. Straighten your legs up to the ceiling. You can support your legs if you like. You could take hold behind the thighs or behind the knees. And just spend a moment pointing and flexing for the next few breaths. Get a nice stretch through the front of the foot, and then just also extending out through the heel, stretching through the Achilles and up through the calf muscles. And maybe feeling it in your hamstrings as well. Maybe like to circle the feet, stretch the toes out as well. Ooh, lots of cracking going on here. And in the other direction. Just nice to get the circulation moving through the feet and through the legs. And then bring your knees back into your chest. We'll take a little gentle twist. Bring both knees down to the right side of the body and open your arms out so they're about shoulder height. Allow your shoulders to relax down towards your mat. And if your neck feels comfortable, you could turn your head to look over to your left hand. And just take a few deep breaths here. We can think of the breath as expanding when we breathe in and then softening as we breathe out. Let's take one more breath. And when you're ready, return to the center and exhale over to the other side. Just gently turn your head, see how it feels. Allow the body to open. Let's take a couple of rounds of the breath. Softening as you exhale. And then coming back to the center when you're ready. And then you just roll over onto one side and help yourself up to any seated position. So take your time so that you don't get dizzy. And bring your legs into a comfortable position for you as well. Let's take a deep breath in and lift the arms up to the sky and just reaching up. As you reach up, soften through your shoulders and then gaze up towards the ceiling. Notice the space between the palms, just feeling them touching lightly into each other. And feel that length through your spine. As you begin to exhale, twist over to the left and bring your right hand outside your left knee. Push your left hand down into the ground to lengthen, and then as you exhale, gazing over your left shoulder, bringing in another twist. So twists are so important not only for the spine, but also for all of the internal organs, so that they can get compressed, and then when they are released through the twist, when you come out of the twist, there's this massive fresh flow of blood and oxygen to all of the organs, all of the cells. Take a deep breath in, return back to the center, and exhale to the other side. Take a breath in as you lengthen, and then just twisting to gaze over your right shoulder. It doesn't matter what we do on our mat, just feeling into movement and what our body needs. Let's take 2 more breaths, just softening as you exhale. Remember to just let the fingers relax and the jaw if you feel like there's any tension there. And then breathe in, bring the hands up, back up to the sky. And then we'll keep our right arm up, take the left hand behind the back. And now it doesn't matter if we don't have a strap for this one, it's not necessary that we have one. So we'll bend the right arm behind and bring the palm of the hand to the top of your back. Try and position it on the center of your spine. And then reaching back with your left hand, bring the fingertips towards each other. Doesn't matter if they don't reach, we can just take hold of our t-shirt if we want to, or they can just draw towards each other. Try to bring also both elbows in towards your center line. So if you felt like your elbows were out either side, you're going to try to bring them into the center line of your spine. Take a few breaths here. Close your eyes if you like, if you feel comfortable. And just discover that length through the spine. The softening as you exhale. And then taking a deep breath in. Reach your right hand up. Lengthen your left hand down, away, and bring both arms out to the side with the palms facing outwards, and see if you can push the palms away and bring the arms back a little bit as well. So here you should feel the chest lifting as the shoulder blades draw towards each other, and also a nice stretch through the palm of the hand as well. So feel as if you're pushing two very heavy objects away from you. And then slowly release your hands down, just relax. Maybe just roll the wrists out a little bit as well. So let's take the left hand up now, reaching up. So feel like something's pulling you up to the sky from your fingertips, like there's a string on your fingertips and that's being drawn up. And then bending at the elbow, we'll bring the palm of the hand to sit on the top of the back. If you can, bring it onto the center of the spine, and then reaching the right hand behind, we do the same. And we'll always find that one side is different to the other. So we work always with what we've got. We see what we've got on this side and see what feels, what's present. If there's a different kind of tightness or different kind of sensation. And just allow yourself to go into that. So close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Soften as you exhale. Lengthen as you inhale. And slowly release. First extend the left hand up, again as if you're being pulled up to the sky, and then let go of the right arm. Push both palms out. And then draw the hands back a little bit as well, so you feel the chest drawing forward and the shoulder blades moving towards each other as well. And you can feel quite an intense stretch through your palms, through the wrists. One more. And then gently release and soften. And bring the hands together now just for a moment to bring the backs of the hands in towards each other, to push them towards each other like in a prayer pose, but with the backs of the hands touching each other. Just to complete that wrist stretch through the other side as well. And then release that. Now, if you're brave enough, you take the socks off, because in a minute we're going to go into downward facing dog. If it's still cold, keep them on for a little bit longer. And let's come first of all into child's pose. So finding your child's position, of the big toes touching. Take their knees as wide apart as you'd like, and then lower yourself down gradually. Make sure that your head is supported when you come down, either on a block or on your hands or from the floor. And as you've come into your child's pose, just notice the breath through the back of the body. More, notice the back of the body expanding and contracting. You may be able to feel or to visualize how your back is gently rising and falling as you breathe. You could also imagine that either end of the spine is moving towards and away from each other, a bit like an elastic band when it's pulled and then released and pulled and then released. So as you inhale, the two, either end of the spine or either end of the elastic band pull away from each other. And as you exhale, either end of the spine or of the elastic band, they release back towards each other. Now start to lift your head up a little bit and just gaze forward. And as you lift your head up, draw your shoulders back, soften at the face and just lengthen through the middle of the back to the upper back. So feel the lower ribs actually lifting up and forward. Then walk your hands over to the right and extend your left hand a little bit further. So stretch it out and then bring your left hand on top of the right. Maybe take another breath just to find a bit more length. And then as you exhale, lowering down and softening towards the ground. Take a breath in, start to lift the head, walk your hands over to the other side and stretch your right hand now a little bit further. Bring that on top of the left hand, find that length and then exhale to lower down and release. And maybe notice where you feel in the breath more here. Maybe you feel it more through the right lower ribs. You feel that length. Or maybe more through the right armpit. Start to lift your head as you breathe in and walk your hands back to the front and bring them back in towards you gradually. So let's make our way now into tabletop. Coming up slowly, make sure you've got some padding under your knees if you need it. And we'll just find our tabletop pose, spreading the fingers, pushing into the base of the thumb and the index finger. And sometimes what's nice when we come into this position is just to lift one hand off the ground at a time, almost like a cat. You know, when a cat needs your tummy, when they come and sit on you, or when they need a cushion or something. It's almost like that. So we can do that a few times. That helps us establish our connection with the ground through the palms. It helps us become more aware of the center of the palm, that it's active and it's lifting. And also helps us just become aware of if we're holding our elbows really tightly as well, then we should find a micro bend within the elbows. Holding our tabletop, draw the belly in and soften a little bit through the upper back up towards the crown of the head. Just take a couple of breaths here with awareness on the belly button, drawing into the center and gently contracting. One more breath. And then lifting the right hand up, extending it in front of us. Bring all the fingers together so the fingers are all joined and they're pointing away from you. Hold that for a moment. Extend the left leg back, keep it on the floor to begin with, just push back a little bit through the toes. Hold that for a moment. And then when you're ready, lift up. So push into the top of the right foot to give you a bit more stability. And then lift your left leg up off the ground. Flex the foot. And just hold that line. Keep drawing the belly button towards the spine. Two more breaths. Feel as if your whole body is lifting away from your mat. And then exhale, release your hands and feet down. And maybe now's a good time to take in cat-cow flow, just to soften everything up again. So we'll breathe in, gaze forward, and the shoulder blades roll back. The crown of the head lifts, gaze lifts a little bit. And then we exhale, draw the belly button in and up, arching through the spine, soften through the elbows. And push into the finger pads so that the palms actively lift. Let's take another breath. And come back to the center. Just notice the body then square, like a table. Palms of the hands actively lifting, the elbows softening. And then when you're ready, we'll lift the left hand up. Extend the fingers away from you, bring all the fingers together under the thumb. And then take the right leg back. Start with the toes on the ground for a moment and just push back a little bit. Now lifting the right leg up, flex the foot. Create that nice straight line from the fingertips all the way down to the heel. And exhale, release hand and knee onto the ground and come into a cat-cow again. And back to a neutral position after that cat-cow. Lifting the right hand up again, out to the side this time, and taking it up to the sky, reaching up and just holding that for a moment. So feeling the twist, feeling the push through the right shoulder as well, the opening through the chest. You can imagine someone is pushing your hand back a little bit. And as you exhale now, we'll bring it down, sweep it underneath the left arm, bring your right shoulder and the side of your head onto the ground. And we'll start here taking the left hand above the head, fingertips on the ground. Just push the fingertips into the ground so that the palm lifts. And you're giving then a little bit of space for the left shoulder to open, the armpit to look up towards the sky. Now bring your left hand up and you can take it behind your back. Turn your hand so the palm is facing towards your hip or your waist. And see if you can just take hold of your hip, your waist, or your back. Expanding with each inhalation and softening with each exhalation. And sometimes going a little bit deeper with the exhalation, but that's not a requirement. And take your left hand up to the sky. Exhale as you bring it down to the ground. Inhale back into your tabletop and take a moment for a cat-cow flow. And coming back to the center. Let's take the left hand up now. As we breathe in, open it up through the left side. Feel the palm opening back. The left shoulder blade squeezing in towards itself. Just notice as well your hips. If they've gone out of alignment too much, to just bring them back and square them up like they're in a tabletop. And now as you exhale, let's bring the left hand underneath the right. Bring the left shoulder onto the ground. And then we'll extend the right arm up above the head, fingertips on the ground. And you might find sometimes you push your fingertips into the ground and then you can slide your left hand, your left arm further underneath you. You can also push into the back of the left hand to give a bit more space for opening. Now extend the right hand up, wrap it behind the back, turn your hand in towards you so you can reach to take hold of your waist or your hip, your back. Keep pushing the left hand into the ground. And just be aware of your neck. Sometimes sensitive necks don't really like this position. If you feel any pain or discomfort in your neck, you need to come out of the pose. Or you need maybe a cushion or some support under the head. One more breath. And then inhale, lengthen the right arm up to the sky. Exhale to bring it down. And coming back into your tabletop. And a few breaths to cat-cow flow. Just notice how you feel. Notice where your awareness is, if it's more on the breath or if it's more on the movement of the body, or maybe it's on neither and it's on my to-do list for later, and that's fine. When you notice your mind wandering, you can bring it back onto your breath or onto the movement, and sometimes just join awareness of both of them. So come back to tabletop. Let's take a child's pose. Push yourself back gently in towards your heels. Take the knees wide apart and then lengthen your arms out softly. And lower the head down. Bring your awareness to the back of the body again. Imagine either end of the spine, like the elastic band that's being pulled and then released with each breath. As you breathe in, either end of the elastic band pull away from each other. As you breathe out, they go back in towards each other. So take a few breaths, just observing that movement through the back of your body. Take in a deep breath now and slowly think about moving back into tabletop and then making your way into downward facing dog. So probably your first one of the day. It's my first one of the day, I have to admit as well. So let's all come in easy, slowly, starting with bent knees perhaps as well. And just taking our time. Feel free to come down and take a rest whenever you want to as well. So just feeling into it. Maybe pedaling the feet. Maybe just shifting your hips from side to side. Sometimes maybe bending the knees a lot so that you can find that length through the spine. And then finding the length through the back of the legs as well. So just take a moment, just feel free to move in any way that you enjoy when you come into this pose. And then taking a little break, just bring your knees back down onto the ground and come to an upright position. Take a deep breath in and lengthen your arms up to the sky. Reach up to the sky and draw the palms back a little bit. So taking a little bit of a back bend, as if you're lifting up through the center of your chest. Exhale to release the hands down. Come back into tabletop. Spread the fingers. Tuck the toes. Lift up into down dog. Notice where your feet are and bring them so that they're about hip distance apart. About. Doesn't have to be exact. And just giving a little time and space for things to stretch out and to lengthen. Being aware of your breath. Let's count 3 more rounds of the breath. And then start to look forward towards the front of your mat and begin to walk your feet up towards your hands. Keeping the head low and making your way up to a folded forward standing position. Take a breath in, and as you breathe in, just gently lengthen, gaze forward and open up through the front of the chest. And then as you exhale, folding forward, allow the crown of the head to soften towards the ground. And if you feel any tightness in your lower back today, then just take the feet a little bit further apart. And breathing into the back of your body again. And soften at the knees a little bit and think about coming to a standing upright position. Let your lower back point down towards the ground, pushing into your feet, and then starting to roll up gently through the spine. And the last thing to lift will be your head. So coming gradually up to standing. And then just take a moment to roll your shoulders out onto your standing. Hi Mum, I can see you now. Mum's been tucked behind the sofa. Nice, I can see you both. So just take a few rolls of the shoulder. And deep breaths. Bring the shoulders up to the ears and then roll them down, away, and then bring them forward again. Let's bring it in the other direction now, taking them forward and then up. And breathing away any tension in the shoulders or the neck. And then release. Let's give the hands a little shake out. Once you release, shake out the hands and the fingers and the whole arm, both arms, and have a little shimmy through your whole body. Get everything wobbling. See how much you can wobble. Yeah, let's go for it. Go for it, girls. Very good. Just let that slow down and we just can continue wobbling and shaking out all the shit. I have to send you both a video of this woman who teaches yoga and she just swears the whole time through. She just says like, breathe out all the shit in the world. It's so funny. I should do a class like that one day. So let's come to the front of our mats. I'm going to take a few gentle salutations. Think of these salutations as a way to honor your body, and not just your body. Let's take these salutations as a way of honoring us, whatever makes us up to be us, our body, our spirit, our journey, and whatever else we can think of. So just take a moment in front of your mat with your palms together to settle into that place. Go within. And taking this opportunity to express love and honor towards ourselves. Feel your feet connecting down to the earth as you breathe out. Feel that connection through the 3 points, through the base of the heel, the space under the big toe, under the little toe, and feel those 3 points like a triangle, really rooting down, really connecting you to the source. And open yourself up to receive that energy from the source into the soles of your feet, into the arches of your feet, which lifts up through the whole body to the crown of the head. And establish that connection of giving and receiving. release your hands down by your side slowly. And then taking a deep breath in, reach them up to the sky and open them up towards the ceiling. And just take it into a gentle back bend, bringing as far as is comfortable for you. Still rooting down through the feet, but lifting up through the arches of the feet. Creating space through the front of the body. And as you exhale, join the palms together and start to fold forward, bending at the knees and reaching at the hips. And soften down towards the ground. Bring your hands down. If you're using blocks, you may like then to bring them either side of your feet and bring the palms of your hands onto the side of the blocks. If you're not using blocks, that's okay. Just bring the hands down to a place that feels comfortable. And taking a deep breath in, start to lift the head up like you're just going to take a peek forward. Gazing forward and in front. Maybe bring the hands onto the shins if that's more comfortable. And then exhale, return the hands back down, and we'll step back with the right leg and bring the right knee onto the floor. Bring the top of the foot onto the floor. As we breathe in, we'll start to lift up through the arms, reaching up and taking it into a little back bend again, opening up softly. You can let go of control as you practice. So as you put in the effort when you come into a pose, don't forget after you come into the pose to just let go of the effort and let yourself soften into it. Now as you exhale, start to bring your hands down and move yourself into downward facing dog. Find that length. Notice how this stuff probably feels a bit different to the first one we did. And then bringing the chest forward into plank. Tighten the whole body, so draw everything into your center point for a moment as we hold our plank. And then drop the knees, chest and chin. Slide into your cobra. And then exhale back into downward facing dog. Take the right leg in front to where the right hand is and bring the left knee and the top of the foot down, and then breathe in as you lift up. Remember putting in the effort as you come into the pose, but then as you exhale, letting go of the control and just allowing yourself to soften into it. As you begin to exhale, bring your hands back down to the ground and then step your back leg up to the front of your mat and fold forward. And if you want to, you can take your knees, take your feet wide apart and bend your knees. Take a breath in, gaze forward, hands can come onto the shins or just a little bit further in front into the fingertips, and just gaze straight out ahead in front of you. Exhale, fold forward once more. And then rolling up gently as you breathe in. Not necessarily on one breath, you may take several breaths to come up to standing. And then once you're up, maybe take a moment you want to just roll things out, roll the shoulders out. Or maybe just standing in stillness. We'll bring our hands back into prayer pose. Taking a deep breath in, extend the arms up to the sky into a gentle back bend. Again, just rooting down through your feet and lifting up through the arches of the feet. As we begin to exhale, we soften at the knees, hinge at the hips, lengthen forward. Bring your hands into a prayer pose as you fold forward. And coming into your forward bend. Inhale gently, gaze forward. Hands onto the shins or just bring them to the front of your mat. And try to lengthen a bit more through the backs of the legs this time, trying to bring them more into a straighter place so that we can feel that stretch through the hamstrings. Exhale as you fold back down. And then taking the left leg back, bring the left knee and the top of the foot onto the floor. Inhale as you bring your hands up to the sky. And as you bring your hands up to the sky, you can always sink a little bit into your left hip. Gently opening up through the front of the body. And as you begin to exhale, bring the hands back down to the ground. Step yourself back into downward facing dog. Notice how this dog feels to the previous ones. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath. And slowly, slowly coming to plank. Feel like the chest is being drawn forward. Lifting your body up and away from the mat. Really engage the palms as you push your fingertips into the ground. 1 more breath. And then lower down to the knees, chest and chin. Inhale to cobra. And exhale to your downward facing dog. So taking a few breaths here. Before we step the left leg in front, bring the right knee onto the top of the floor. Inhale to lift the arms up. And gently push through the right hip a little bit. Lifting up through the lower ribs and opening up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. As you exhale, start to bring your hands down and then step your back leg to the front of your mat, folding forward. And we're going to hold this forward bend a little bit longer now, so feel free to take the feet a bit wider. So you can bend the knees if you want to and allow yourself to to fold into the position with a bit more space. That just gives a bit more room for softening through the lower back. You could, if you're not sure where to put your hands, you could bring your palms onto the backs of your legs, behind the ankles or on the calf muscles. And we'll take 5 rounds of the breath. Really give ourselves time here. Take an in breath and start to gaze forward. Bring your hands to your shins or just bring them to the floor in front of you and just lengthen up, gazing in front. And soften a little bit through the back of the neck. And then exhale once more to fold forward. Pushing into the feet, but still the arches of the feet lifting. We'll begin to roll up, let the head be heavy. Push in as you rise up. Coming all the way back up to standing. And take a moment, if you like, to just roll everything out. And feel how maybe you feel a bit more open, you feel a bit more stretched. Or your body just feels nicer as you've moved. So we're going to take a tree pose. Next one. So we'll come onto the right leg. Focus your gaze to begin with. And before we even lift up the other leg, let's just think about how we root down through the right foot. And we also try, although in standing poses, generally we want to lift up through the arches of the feet. In our tree pose, it helps give us a bit more stability if we root down a little bit through the arch of the foot here. So think of the inside of the right foot here, just rooting down a little bit to give you a bit more stability. And then we can bring the left foot in and just place the heel above the right ankle to begin with. And feel how the left knee and the left thigh are opening back. You want to feel like both of your hips are opening outwards when you come into your tree pose. We can keep the foot there, or we can bring it just below the knee or above the knee, depending on where it suits us and where it's comfortable. And then bringing the palms together into a prayer pose. Just soften the gaze out ahead in front of you. Connecting to your breath. And then just releasing the hands down, release the leg out as well. We'll take the left leg out in front for the dancing Shiva pose. We'll take the right hand up, palm facing outwards, and then connect the thumb and the index finger together. And with the left hand, we've got thumb and index finger together, palm facing outwards. So try to draw the elbows in and lift up through the chest. And then we can bend into both knees, flex the left foot. Good. One more breath. And then bring the left leg on top of the right. Bring the right arm underneath the left and bind them together for your Garudasana. The palms lifting up as the shoulders lower down. Awareness on the belly button and the breath. One more. As you inhale, coming out of the pose and release everything. If you feel like just moving around a little bit on your mat and shaking things out, take the time to do that. So coming on to the left foot now, we root down through the left foot. We draw in through the inner arch before bringing the right foot in. Think about opening out through the hips and an external rotation through the thighs. And bring the foot wherever suits us. Palms of the hands together and softening the gaze. Now we can release that right foot out in front and keep it off the floor still. And we'll change the hands around this time. So we'll bring the left hand up, thumb and index finger together. The right hand down, thumb and index finger together. Bending both knees, draw both elbows in towards you and flick the hands back as if you're opening, stretching out through the wrists. Then cross your right leg over the left. Bring the right arm underneath the left and bind into your Garudasana. See if you can lower yourself. And then breathe in, release, well done. And come out of the pose. Give everything a little shake, or maybe just take a little walk around. Or come into a still position. So we'll take the feet a little bit wider now. We're going to come down onto our mat. Take a deep breath in, stretching the arms up. Oops. And then lowering down, we come into our Malasana. Maybe a supported Malasana if you want to. You sit on a block or a cushion. And we're going to hold it here for a few breaths. Let's come down to the ground. I'm ready to bring our legs up in front. Flexing the feet and just lift your buttocks up a little bit so you can come better into that forward fold. Breathe in, find the length, lifting up and out of the hips. And then exhale as you come forward and bring your hands wherever it feels comfortable for you. Gently lengthen as you take a breath in and then exhale to come forward, softening through the neck and the forehead. And just allow yourself to let go of that control and surrender with each exhalation. And we can do an affirmation here. as well. As you breathe in, you can repeat, I let go of control. And as you breathe out, I surrender. Breathing in, I let go of control. Breathing out, I surrender. Let's carry on for a few rounds of the breath. Breathing in with the affirmation, I let go of control. And breathing out, I surrender. Take a breath in when you're ready and just extend and lengthen forward a little bit. And then exhale, come out slowly of the pose. I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together now. The same practice, the same affirmation we can use here as well. So first just lengthen a little bit through your spine and then exhale to lower and to come forward. And we can carry on with that affirmation. Breathe in, let go of control, and breathe out, I surrender. Take a breath in, gradually lifting your head up. Support your knees as you bring them back together. And you have your soles of the feet on the ground. And then just very slowly and gradually coming down, rolling down onto your mat. And I'll give you two options here. So one is a supported shoulder stand variation. And that can be with a block or a cushion. We bring that underneath the lower back and we just extend our legs up to the sky. Another variation, if we didn't have a block, we just use our hands underneath the lower back and extend our legs up as well. In all of these variations, make sure that you're looking towards your feet and you're not turning your head to look to the left or right, or especially not looking towards the screen or anything. And then if you want to, if you're comfortable doing the full shoulder stand, then we're going to take a little bit of momentum, just rocking backwards and forwards a few times. And then pushing your hands into the ground, you can lift yourself up. You need to roll your shoulders together a little bit. And bring your hands onto your waist. Toes pointing up towards the ceiling. So take whichever variation works for you. We'll stay here for 5 rounds of breath. And then slowly coming out of the pose, bring the soles of the feet onto the ground. Bring your hands underneath your lower back. So we're preparing for our fish pose. Try to roll the shoulder blades towards each other and wriggle your arms as low down as you can. Pushing into both palms and then the elbows and the forearms. We can lift up, bring a little bit of weight towards the crown of the head. Feet together and toes pointing away. Then gently let yourself come out of the pose. So when you're ready, untuck your hands and then taking your knees up to your chest, just for a little rock from side to side. And let's take a few breaths in Happy Baby just to finish before we come into our Shavasana. Happy Baby is a very good pose for just releasing any tension in the pelvis, in the hip joints, and also in the lower back. You may like to be still, or you may like to just rock from side to side. And if there's any other pose that you want to finish off with personally, that you'd like to do, then just give you a moment to do that. If you're ready to come into Shavasana, then you can head straight there, just getting yourself nice and warm for your relaxation. It's really important that you're warm when you do your relaxation, because you'll find as you relax that your body temperature drops anyway. Allow the eyes to close. Allow the body to just be. Allow the body to be still. And just allow yourself to soften into whatever experience you're having at this moment. Let's take a moment now to return to our Sankalpa. Repeat it to yourself mentally at least 3 times. Now let's start to become aware of different sounds. Start to become more aware of our body and position of our body on the mat. And in your own time, bringing in a little bit of movement. You can slowly roll onto your side. And slowly come up to a seated position when you're ready. Let's bring our hands together to prayer pose. And we can finish this morning's practice by chanting Om 3 times together. Take in a deep breath. Om.